So indeed, I'm very glad to be here. I must first of all excuse myself for my voice. I don't know what happened, but yeah, still, I hope you can all hear me well. Good evening to everyone. Good morning for some of you. I heard that we are several people from all around the globe, so that's really amazing to see how this kind of webinar can gather so many people from everywhere. So indeed, as Quentin explained, I'm from PropTech Lab. And so what are we? We are actually a community of innovators in the construction and real estate sectors. And what we do is actually that we put together all the startups, all the corporates we have in order to make sure that they can connect to each other, that they can together maybe develop some projects, they can collaborate or co-create, and all that fields really in Belgium. So we are really expert for Belgium, but you have to know that our initiative also exists some in other countries, especially in Europe, with whom we are also very well connected. So just to make sure that we are all aligned on the PropTech here, I will just make a short introduction about the definition. You can come back to the first slide. I will make a definition for everyone to make sure we are aligned on this. And I'll talk about the market in general, and then more especially, of course, about the 3D and the AR. So what do we say about the PropTech, actually? So the European definition of the PropTech is actually that it's covering every innovation in the technology, techniques, or business models from the real estate value chain. So we speak about the whole construction part with the architects, engineers, and contractors. But then also we speak about the real estate part with the developers, brokers, property managers, asset managers, but also the investors and the owners. So it's very broad. Then we say that we can also refer to innovation in all different asset classes. So you can see that there are a lot of them mentioned here below, like we have the housing, the offices, retail, industry and logistics. We can also innovate in the hospitality, of course, healthcare, and any kind of infrastructure, being like train stations or sports halls and so on. So if you go to the next slide, we like to say that the PropTech can be split into 5 different segments, because as it's a very broad definition, we like to maybe focus on specific categories. So the first category is the finance and invest. It's where every different real estate project starts with. You always start with a finance and investment point. Then you start to conceptualize your building, to design it, and we go to the design and build phase. Afterwards, once you start to commercialize your building, you go to the market and transact phase. And then once you have your building, you have tenants and so on, then we speak about managing and operating the building. And in the end, we of course have to cover the last category, that is the innovation in the live and work, which means that you and me, we work from home or we work from the office. But the idea is that we also have an experience to live and to work in. So we are really the end user. So here today, the idea is, of course, to focus on the 3D and the augmented reality. And actually, we can find this kind of technology, especially in the design and build, but also in the market and transact. So for example, the design and build, we have today GenieVision, who is really more in the construction, in the conceptualization of the building, including also BIM, for example, and digital twin. You can come back to the previous slide. And then also in the market and transact, because when you commercialize the building, it's very important as well to make sure that the end user is able to well understand and have this experience that we were speaking about. So for example, in the market and transact, you have companies that do the 360 views, actually everywhere inside the apartment of a new apartment. So the end user can really anticipate and imagine himself into this place. But if you go further to the next slides, we have also plenty of examples of technologies, and we say that all innovation that exists are also actually split into the 5 categories. But also, we could see that there are also 2 innovation drivers. So it said that all kind of technology, we listed some of them here, can be driven by, first, on the one hand, with the user experience, and on the other hand, with the efficiency. So if you take the example here of the 3D, VR, and AR technologies, then we can see that they are targeted into the design and build phase, and they really offer a user experience. And then if you go further, like if you take for the efficiency, for example, you can see that we recognize the BIM or digital twin, for example. So it's very easy to keep this in mind. And of course, you have tools that are both at the same time and so on. So you can go to the next slide. So we actually had some not really fun, but we did an analysis because of the COVID. We were interested into understanding what was the impact of the COVID on all the different technologies we mentioned before. So, for example, on the vertical axis, you can see that we speak about the pre-COVID activities. So which one were low and which one were higher. For example, you have the co-working in the high part. And then because of the COVID, what was the impact? Did this technology or this innovation decelerated, or did it actually accelerate it? We can see that for the co-working, it has been actually decelerated because of the COVID, because no one was going to the offices anymore. Health was very important, so we avoided to meet in the same place. That doesn't mean that today it's decelerated. It's just that it created this impact. But actually now, a very good news is that companies evolved and they reacted to the COVID crisis, and they developed a lot of new solutions in order actually to bring this innovation actually in an acceleration phase. So if we take the example of the 3D, the VR and AR, it was quite not so low used by the companies before, but still a bit. But it has been accelerated because it was the perfect way actually to be able to work from home, from other offices, etc., and separate it, and to make sure that everyone has access to the same thing without being able to go on site, for example. Also, we can talk about the BIM and the digital twin. That has been also more accelerated. So if you go to the next slide, thank you. I want to just mention a bit about the European market. So what can we say? Actually, we are a PropTech Lab for Belgium. Then, as mentioned, you have also other initiatives everywhere in Europe. And the European PropTech House, the association that you can see the logo below the screen, is actually an organization that is putting everyone together in contact, so we can also exchange and have an idea of what's going on different markets. And they did an analysis. It was really interesting in order to see how many startups exist in the PropTech in general in Europe. So we can say that there are more than 3,200 startups that exist. And we split them into the categories. So these are the 5 same categories that we mentioned before, with the invest and finance, design and build, etc. And what is interesting is to see that most of the startups that have been developed since some years now are actually active in the manage and operate. So it means these are solutions like smart buildings, but really to make sure that we can use and better exploit the buildings. And then the 2 other very famous categories are the market and transact and the design and build. So when you have a category where you have a lot of startups, it means also that it's a category that is more mature and where you have more competition as well. And you might have a bit more companies that goes for an exit, or that are acquired, or that can be actually dead by now. So if we analyze the part of design and build, it's still not the most developed, it's quite in the middle. Still very interesting to see, because it means that there is a lot of opportunities to evolve. Like for the finance and invest, you have a lot of opportunities to evolve. And especially with the design and build, what is very interesting is that we say today, actually, the most known trend is actually the design and build, and really the construction part is really being boosted by innovation. Why is it so? It's because also design and build, it's finding solutions for recycling materials, for example, also to make it more efficient, to lose less time on site by the companies, and to also actually be able to answer to a lot of questions that are regarding the climate change, which is today, a very important topic. So you can go to the next slide. I want, of course, to deep dive into the Belgian market. So today we have in the community 210 companies who are members of our community. And the members are actually companies. So we have Some of them are startups, some of them are corporates. Corporates, they cover the whole value chain of real estate, like architects, engineers, developers, brokers, asset managers, and investors, and so on. You have then some service providers and then some VCs that have, of course, an interest into the startups. So here, the analysis we did is to check how many of our members are actually busy in the design and build and the market and transact. As these are two categories very well connected to each other, we can say that, for example, a developer, they are very active in the design and build, and most of the time, they are also providing the service of the market and transact by themselves. Like they will commercialize their building by themselves. So what can we say about the startups? We have 44% of our startups that are active in these two parts, especially these two. Some of them are only on the design and build, some others only in the market and transact, and others do both. But then you have also other categories that could integrate some of these two activities. So it could be even more than 44%. Then you have corporates, and this is very interesting because there are a lot of them who have who are busy actually in the design and build and market and transact phase. Some service providers as well. And the VCs, it's actually 100% because most of them are actually focusing any kind of category. The only thing is that they will maybe prefer sometimes that it's a software solution and not a hardware, or sometimes they will say we have a focus in the sustainability, or we have a geographic focus, etc. But they usually cover a lot of the different categories. And so if we take the example of the startups, we have plenty of examples, like you can go through the building and see really how it will be designed, not only in the construction with the BIM model and so on, but also the layout, the design, how is the look and feel, what is the experience. So you can already start very early there. And so with our members and the network we have, we actually thought about making a survey in order to understand what are actually their opinion on the 3D and the augmented reality. So how active are they with this? How they use it? What is their feedback? Is it positive, negative, and so on? So we have some answers to share. But first of all, I think, Quentin, you have also a question to ask to everyone. So it will be a good opportunity actually to listen to your feedback as well and to know what you think about this. And then maybe I will share also the answers that we could collect.
So you can go to the poll area, and there you have a question, and it would be very nice to have the feedback from the entire from all the people from spectating, so that we can see the position from the audience according to this survey, which had been conducted by PropTech Lab.
So we will see the results directly?
Yeah, so for the moment we have to vote. So you can go to the polls area. Maybe Noemi, you can explain which process you used and how you get to the survey.
Yes. So we used two different channels. So first one is in our community, on our platform of members, and that's something we developed together with my colleague Nicolas. And the idea was to ask them first, but also then we did another survey where we asked to the people, but the public one that are not from the community. So there, it was interesting to see that you have the difference for the people who answered from the community, because it means that already are close to innovation. They are already linked to innovation, maybe already used the 3D and so on. And then the non-members, it was more broad, and we can see that there are more questions, more doubts, and more solutions that need to be found. So we'll see this very soon.
So for now, the answers, so we have 3 answers about the added value it brings to customers. So which added value augmented reality bring to customers. We have 2 votes about the internal processes that the augmented reality is the internal processes of construction companies, and also one vote, and it's also something we are going to talk about the insufficient return on investment from the augmented reality. Among the reasons is the difficulty to use. So it's pretty spread.
Okay,
So
very good.
maybe I'm going to move to your survey and from the entire ecosystem answers.
Yeah. Perfect. So the idea is here to just mention what they think in full transparency. Nothing has been changed, and to make sure that we can together maybe think about solutions. Why are these doubts still there? Why are they not there? What are the lessons learned? So I hope that GenieVision will help us to answer this. So the first question we asked in the first survey was, have you used or invested in augmented reality in your projects? So most of them answered that it's the case. And we asked them if yes, where they recognize benefits, because if they actually submitted and asked for it, then they had results. So the first thing was that they had a great visualization of sales. So it's typically the commercialization of buildings. Then some of them said an image says more than 1,000 words. And then they also mentioned efficiency and accuracy. And then if you look at the no side, some of them answer that they are not convinced by the solution, or they didn't find this unified policy to address the use of AR apps in the construction. So that's also an issue. It needs to be also unified policies and regularized in order to make sure that everyone evolves at the same level. And if you go to the next slide, we have the second survey that was open to actually non-members. And what they said is, so we asked them, what is the positive thoughts that you had on adopting AR technology in construction? And most of them answered that it's adding value to the customers. So to the end user, like you and me, for example, who wants to buy an apartment, but also to big companies, actually, if they want to just, if the real estate investor wants to make sure that he can really deep dive into the building and see how it's looking like and all the details of it, it's also very interesting. And then you can also see that 20 of them, you can come to the first slide, 20% of them also answer that it's facilitating internal processes, which is interesting. So it's bring value to the external, but also to the internal. Then on the next slide, we have the second question, that is, what are the negative thoughts you have? And most of them answer that there is a lack of skills and knowledge. So that's very important, and I think that's why we also have to organize this kind of webinar maybe more often. And then also 47% answered that it's difficult because of the insufficient ROI, return on investment. So that's exactly what we mentioned before and what we will see later. It's like everywhere, we know that one of the first priority for companies is, of course, the ROI, because it's what you think in the short run as well. So I'll maybe leave the floor to Quentin to have a look at what GenieVision does and maybe make sure that we can upgrade your skills and knowledge in terms of 3D and AR.
Thank you, Noemi. It was pretty clear. Just as a reminder, you can use the question window if you have any question to raise. I'm going to talk about the construction site because GenieVision, we are more focused on the construction site, and that is our main focus. And among the companies, because we are working since 2 years in this area, we found a lot of information and a lot of feedbacks about the productivity stakes. And these productivity stakes put the companies at risks and any project at risks. And we can find that today there is some market pressure to build better, to build faster and at lower costs. And this has a direct impact on the benefits from of the companies on any projects, and the failure costs can be very important and have a high impact, and it's a risk for any project. and then which can lead to the erosion of margins of those projects. On the other hand, to try to fight these productivity stakes, there is an investment in innovation and technologies, in different technologies. So Noemi, you talked about the 3D, and the 3D, the place of the 3D, which is getting more and more important. So as the BIM, and there is a lot of application which are plugging itself into the BIM, and which take the 3D, like GenieVision, to transform it and to bring it to the people. So there is plenty of innovations. Today we are talking about augmented reality, but for all those companies, what we found very important is that we have to connect to the ecosystem, an ecosystem which is living since a very long time and which is very organized, and companies, startups have to adapt to the groups and to the companies. So it is important that the innovation is standardized and can connect to this company through collaboration, through some integrations, and with the platformization of ecosystems, of IT ecosystems. So now what happens with those technologies and this innovation is that there are workflows and buildings which are getting digitized, so more connected with more data, and all this data is shared through the BIM to all the stakeholders from the construction. And of course, because of the digitization, we have an optimization, we have a work on the optimization of the work process. So either more reporting or a better ergonomy, so a better UX and UI, so that it is easy to use and that the technology adapts to the workers and to the end user. So the work process are getting more included in the entire process of the workers, but everything starts from the process of the worker, and that is how we built GenieVision, is that we follow and we listen to the workers on site and also to off sites, what they are looking for and which information they want to have. One very interesting drawing that we found, and which come from the European Commission, it's about the digital technologies in the construction. So you can find this report on the bottom right of the slide. You have all the information, and you can see the relations and the connections in between all the technologies that you can find in the construction. So you can see that you have the virtual reality and the augmented reality. For us, it's quite different. So the virtual reality is very immersive. The people, like the customers, as Noemi explained, will be able to see how it is going to look. So it's very much related, and we see a lot of solutions for the marketing. And the augmented reality is something that us, GenieVision, we use on site and really much as a working tool, as a real software for the workers on site. But as you can see, it is connected to the digital twin and to the BIM. Why? Because we use the 3D. The 3D, for example, you can see that the BIM is feeded by the data is provided by drones and 3D scanning. So you can see all the interactions between the different technologies. And for us, it's very good snapshot about the technologies which are today already implemented on some work sites, and that it is very important to experiment and to know how it works. So today, as I said, we are going to talk about augmented reality for construction, and I will be doing a demonstration to you. There you can see few screenshots of the use of GenieVision. The idea of the solution is to have the 3D always with you in your pocket, and then through this you will reduce the mistakes on site. You will raise the collaboration between all the stakeholders, and the access to the information is more easy. So it all starts from the 3D, from the BIM. So it's a long journey from the 3D, and then we take the 3D, which is used for the construction in BIM, and then we transform it with our own data transformation into augmented reality. There you can see a mode, which is the tabletop, so you can see your entire 3D on a small scale. So the 3D brings a lot of information. The 3D has a real journey, but we found that there is a digital fracture, a breakup at the execution. So it comes from the conception where there had been high investment in costs and resources, and that the 3D is very well handled in the conception phase. But there is no much link with the operation phase. There is, as I said, high 3D adoption, but a low BIM adoption. So you will not find all the information the BIM require into the 3D from the conception, but it is used for the design and for the clash detection. And then it is brought by the construction company to the execution. And it will be used to see the plans, but also to see the deviations and the different mistakes. For example, to see if all the engineering furniture are well installed, for example. But in the execution, we found that most of the projects are still using 2D plans, and 2D plans is quite an issue about the versions, for example, or just the understanding of your environment, because you do not have the same globality as the 3D is offering you. So when companies want to bring this 3D, and the technologies is quite heavy and costly, or if they want to update also the 3D, it's quite costly. There is then on the same ID no link with the design phase, and there is a low user acceptance of the 3D. But the 3D helps for visualization, for the control, and for the report. And the idea is that today the focus is on the execution, so that the 3D moves from the execution with the same 3D coming from the conception going to the operation. So what is our main market and main idea is to let the 3D meet the field. And that is very much our business, and we want it as the new technology, and with a technology which comes from the gaming industry. So we want it easy, fun, and of course fast, because you need the information quickly when you need it. So GenieVision, how we see ourselves is a visual interface to the BIM, to all the information from the BIM. So to a visual interface to the 3D. So you will see the 3D at the same scale that the reality, but you will also have the specifications and the elements from the BIM. So you will be able to select information in your virtual plan and have all the information about your surroundings and the elements which are around you. To get in it, I will share to you 2 videos, a very short videos, which will explain you and show you what we do and how we do it. And that is not the right one, I'm sorry. So how it works on site, and how it looks when people is carrying a mobile device, either a smartphone or a tablet. So you see that you can sort the different layers on the right hand side, and then you can see the future, what has to be built. You have all the different layers which are sorted, and you can hide information, and you can choose the information you want to see. And a second video, which is you can see a tabletop. So you're on site and you understand your environment. You can have all the different issues, and I'm sorry, I'm going more quickly. You can see there that you have all the information that you locate yourself, and it is very easy and quick to bring the 3D on site. So there, it only took a few seconds, a very small moment to have your 3D in front of you. So the idea is to bring the 3D on site. So you pocket your 3D for different things. So on site, you will be able to carry the 3D with you anywhere. You will be able to display the 3D over the reality, just as you just seen. You can check the 3D over the work done to validate the work, or to see any mistake, and then to contact maybe the worker which has done it. And off-site, it is useful to update the 3D according to the execution, to deliver the 3D digital twin of your construction, and then to benefit from the 3D throughout the life cycle of the building. Before our demonstration, and that I explain you the application and how it works, it's a quick process explaining you that you have two things. You have an augmented reality app, and you have a web portal. This is the entire solution GenieVision. So you have the app, which is used for visualization, and you have all the reporting from the app inside the web portal. All the information is geo-referenced, so everything is located into the 3D, so it's easy to find the deviation, the information you are looking at. Everything is synchronized in real time, and it comes from the 3D information from the BIM. So I will share my screen and show the web portal that we called GenieGate. So that is our web portal, and I chose one project, which is the project of the building we are working in, which is called AGC. And from this web portal, you can access to all your projects, and you can have a quick view of the updates, and it brings all the information at the same location. So you use the portal to administrate your project. So you will be able to bring all your 3D files, and you see that there is there it's an IFC file, and you have the different layers because you will bring the different files. You are able to make some versioning about the files, you are able to name them, and you are able to administrate your 3D so that it all merge together, and then we do our data processing, and we share it to all the mobile device, so that you know that all the people is working from the same 3D files, from the same information, because you are handling it here. And when you are uploading a file, you are able to visualize your 3D, so that you are sure that you brought the the right 3D. So there it is a building where I'm going to do the demonstration. So you find all the different layers, and just for you to see that it's the right file that you uploaded, and I will make my demonstration. You will see I will start here to make my demonstration. The portal allows you to give access to the members and to find all the different issues and to export the issues directly into BIM 360, for example, or as a Word or as a PDF. You can also do it from the application. The idea is to share to the people which are concerned by this non-conformity, for example. So the main idea is that you administrate all your project from one place online, which is our web portal. So let's go back to the presentation, and I will share to you a demonstration from the solution from GenieVision. So I selected my project. I am in the building I just showed you in 3D, and I geo-referenced myself. So I will locate myself in the building. So how we do the process is that we take all your 3D files, we merge them, and then we slice them by floor. So first, the user, he knows in which location and at which floor he's located, and then he selects his floor. So there, the first floor, and then a 2D map of your environment is loaded, and then you understand your environment. And if you want to use the augmented reality, you will locate yourself, you would put yourself at your exact location in the reality. Firstly, the move is to select the floor, and then you select one arrow from the 3D and the same one in the reality, because we detect all the lines which are around you. So you select one from the 3D and you select the same one in the reality, and you just adapt and you merge your reality, the 3D over the reality. And there, this movement is how you save the position, because once you aligned and you are satisfied with the alignment, you save this position, you save this alignment, you see that it's pretty well organized, and another user, another day, maybe with another device, will be able to recall the same visual information. So it doesn't have to make the same process of alignment. It will just take the same location, and then he will be able to work with the same visual information, so that all the people is aligned and all the people see the same thing. And when they are sharing information, they share the same information. So there, I'm getting in the room, and you can see on the right hand side all the different layers. The different layers have different colors, bright colors, so that it's easy for the people to see them and to understand the different elements. And something pretty important in the application is that we brought mixed reality. So you can see that the real elements, they are put above the 3D. So it's pretty interesting. So you can see that the pipe is behind the roof, and there is no mixed reality. So the 3D is over the reality. It's pretty nice to use the mixed reality to understand your environment, for security also on site. And if you look at the pipes there, and if you see any mistake of installation, any deviation, you can compare the plan. So there are two pipes, so it's fine, there are two pipes, but they looks quite misaligned. So I just want to alert about it. So I'm able to take a screenshot to highlight the issue, and then to give some details to the issue. The issue is then synchronized to the back office, and the people off-site, they are aware of it. You can tag some people because they are concerned about it, maybe a subcontractor, and you can give an importance if it is urgent or not non-urgent. You can download the non-conformity report. You can see all the non-conformities at your floor level so that you can go back to a non-conformity, check if it is solved or not. And there, lastly, it's a specific feature that we called tabletop. You can see your entire 3D, so it's not divided by floor. It is divided by floor, but you see the everything in a small scale, and you see all the elements. So you can do a clipping plane. Just as you can see, you can hide information. It is pretty useful for meetings, for synchronization and collaboration between the people. It also helps to locate yourself, to understand the building, for example, for maintenance or for anybody which come in the building for the first time. There it is, you see everything, all the elements at the same time. So you can see the sub-layers, everything can be sorted. Then it depends about your 3D file and which level of precision is included in your 3D file. So just to sum up with few information, and then I will give back the mic to Noemi. So about the data transformation, so it is automated. It is a unique process that we developed since more than 2 years, and which is quite robust because there is no maximum size. We handle, we understood how the people work with their 3D, and we have a very well understanding about the management of the 3D and the visual information which is included in the BIM. So we will assist you with this knowledge, and we take multiple files format. So we, as you've seen, we take the IFC file format, we take the SketchUp file format, and we are connected directly to Autodesk cloud services and or BIM 360, and you can find all your files if you are using this environment. So we also take the Revit files. For the project integration, so as I said, it's real-time information. It's a real-time synchronization in between the back office and the application. We built, and that is why we started with IFC. So all our ecosystem is open. So we can integrate with your own ecosystem if you want a very easy process. It is totally possible, and all our software is open. And of course, it will help you with your as-built documentation, because all the different mistakes and information during the entire construction, from the beginning to the finishings, will be sorted and will be documented in our app. So about the different use case and how you can use GenieVision is, of course, coordination and collaboration. As I told you, is also control and inspections, is the visual interface to the BIM data. So you can select an element like a pipe or a lamp and have the information from the BIM directly on site through the tab. And it also helps for the reporting.
Thank you for the demonstration. I think it's for this kind of technology, it's of course very important to have a demo. It's the best way to really understand the concrete technology. And so here, just to maybe open different topics, or just to think a bit outside the box, we imagined recently like the ideal office building, how it could be. And you can see that we started to implement an accessible rooftop, for example, and that we also speak, of course, about the predictive maintenance where GenieVision can help. Or you also have urban logistic hub, co-cooking hub, mutualized parking, or today we speak a lot about the satellite buildings and satellite offices. And so on the other hand, on the right side, you also have a lot of solutions for health and efficiency. So maybe you can bring better air quality, natural lighting, and more experience also to the end user. So this is just a first idea, of course, but it's just to think about what are all the options that we can do. And it makes it wonderful with the PropTech that it's actually adaptable a bit everywhere on each floor of the building. So yeah, I think for me that's it. Thank you very much for the attention, and don't hesitate to reach out to Quentin for GenieVision or to me for more general insights. But I think the expert here is more Quentin. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Noemi. It was great information. I hope it was quite comprehensive. You can use the chat or the question window if you have any question. If you want to get in touch with us, you have the contact information to GenieVision, but also to PropTech Lab. PropTech will be able to find to answer your questions about some technologies, to find some partners to you. Do not hesitate to use the ecosystem, because the ecosystem is very important and it can help you with your experimentation and with the technology. So it was very pleasant and very nice to be here tonight. I will ask Caroline to come on the stage, and we have few questions to you, Noemi, and also to Caroline. And if the people in the audience have any questions, do not hesitate to raise them. We can go back in the presentation. And first of all, Caroline, if you want to introduce yourself, or if you have any feedback or any questions, please
No,
feel
thank
free.
you. Thank you, Quentin. I have an echo. So thank you, Quentin. Thank you, Noemi, for this presentation. I hope that it was clear for all our audience. And as said by Quentin, if you have any question, do not hesitate to come back to us. It's true that it would be interesting, based on what has been explained, to understand the relationship between startups and companies in such kind of innovation. And it's true for GenieVision approach, for example, it's really important for us to be close to the customer in terms of understanding what are their needs and how we can fit to the request of the innovation in one hand, but also to the request of the users of those kind of technologies. So Noemi, do you agree with that? And based on the experiments that you have with other startups, can you testimony of that? And yeah, I think it's important.
Thank you for the question. It's very interesting because it goes further into the concrete collaboration. But first of all, I want to clarify that my answer is more for Belgium, of course, because if you talk to companies or startups in the UK, for example, they will say that they don't even mention BIM because it's already included everywhere. It's not a new technology at all. And here in Belgium, it's quite still in discovery because of the points we have seen before. So how is the collaboration? Is actually, I think that, and what we see in the feedback of the corporate is that actually, as the market is not always enough mature in terms of new tech, they are quite slow to discover, to take decisions, to work with startups, and they are maybe expecting a lot as well. So, for example, they are asking a lot of questions, and they want to build trust, of course, and to make sure that the startups are able to do these technologies with such small teams and so on. And then once they discover, then they go for it. So I think the role of the startups really must be more in an education way. So to make sure that you can explain, like you did today, you can explain everything and take the time to explain to all the corporates and maybe make demonstration together. But yeah, it has to be admitted that, for example, collaboration process are quite slow on the market. But once it's done, of course, the technology is working and it's proven and the results are there. So that's, I think, the most important for startups is to just prove and give the track record they had to prove all the results that it brought to a corporate, to make sure that anyone can put himself at the place of another one and see really the results.
Clear. Yeah, that's true. That's the feeling we really have. And in terms of return of investment, that was one of the bottleneck we see
Yeah.
in the survey. I think there is a real return on investment, but yeah, indeed, the customer must experiment that, and we need to help them on that way.
Of course.
For sure.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
So
And then if you want to go further in the idea, how then we can speak about the implementation, how do they really work together? I think sometimes an issue can be, on the one hand, from the corporate, that they expect too much from the startup, that they expect them to be like a consultancy company that is really integrating everything, that is training everyone. So that needs also, if you want to do a big project with companies with 150 employees, then it needs more resources also. And sometimes startups, they have a technology that is working very well, perfectly, and since a long time, then they cannot maybe follow up with this whole demand. So we have to find the right balance, of course, and to make sure that they both co-create this new way of working. Actually, not only paying for one service, it's paying for the technology and then co-create the integration.
And promote it, indeed.
Mm.
And promote it inside, yes. Yeah. So
And
then
maybe
yeah.
Caroline, about it, because GenieVision is working with different companies from the construction, and I know that we worked on this side, on this understanding in between the companies and us, and about this implementation. We worked in 2021 about our onboarding process to adapt it to several projects.
Yes, so it was obvious at a certain moment of our journey to the market that we needed to be there to be next to the customer, as said before, to really make sure that there is not a wrong understanding about what we can offer. Okay, be considered as a high tech, something that is far away from their needs. And once they understood that, also make sure that there is a clear understanding of the tool, how we can help them to come along on site with it, help the workers to use it. And it was a really nice and still is a really nice success to do those kind of onboarding. So it really allows the customer to use it, to feel it, to understand the gain he has with the tool, and so on.
And how long does it take for a worker to take in hand GenieVision and to understand?
For the moment, depending the case, of course, and depending the use case, and it can take the onboarding is there 3 months. It's the first phase, and then based on that, the customer and the user has everything in hands to continue to work. So.
And if you think about it, like it's really maybe provoking a change in the structure, change in the also in the culture, but change inside the company. And we all know that change management is complicated inside companies with all kind of diversity in the employees as well. And so we also had some members who wrote an article, you know them, Neanex and also FACOG. So they wrote an article together to really explain about the change that can happen inside a company when we speak about digitalization and so on. So I invite you to read it. It's really interesting to understand how they really accompany companies, because it's not that easy, and it's not only going for a new tech that is bringing a lot of benefits. It's also taking the time and making understanding this to everyone in the company. You don't have only to train a CEO, for example. You have to train everyone that is going to work every day with it. So yeah.
So we would be glad for the audience that is there to also get your feedback on that topic. So if you have any additional comments, do not hesitate to share.
Yeah, it's very nice to have the feedback from the field, and that is what drives us in our choice. So
also people can reach out to us after the event.
Yes.
No worries.
Because
Always
the aperitif is almost done.
Till time to go eat.
Yeah.
I hope it was clear. Thank you, Noemi, very much for
you
your
all.
time and your involvement in this project of doing this webinar.
Yeah. With pleasure. I'm not alone. I'm also with the team, so we like to make more research and to understand the end, like all the members, and to understand the vision of the startups, vision of the corporate. So very good exercise for us as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline, also to be here tonight on stage. And I know you have a lot of knowledge about implementation and about different issues clients and construction companies, let's say, can meet, either about the 3D or about how to handle the augmented reality, and that we have stronger process today than before. So don't hesitate to contact GenieVision on the website, for example, or just to read our content about monitoring and supervising your work sites. I would like to thank all the people which came tonight, and maybe we are going to close this webinar.
Right on time.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Quentin, for the moderation. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Good luck to all of you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See you.
Bye-bye.
See you.